think about the new currencies that is supposed to be in circulation as we speak. The CBK is looking to mop up about 217 billion shillings that is already in circulation as we right now, but they've already printed 261 billion shillings of that currency. We'd like to know what you think. Good move, bad move? Is it going to impact the economy in any way? We'd like to know your thoughts. 22422, SMS line at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag is NEWSNIGHT. We'll sample some of your views during this broadcast. I already see a lot of them coming through, but let's bring in Kwame Owino. Is the CEO, Institute of Economic Affairs, to help us put this into perspective. Thanks for making time for us tonight. So, quick question. There's been a lot of talk that now the cleanup of the illicit money will bring back money into circulation and bring back money into Kenyans' pockets. Is that going to be the case, or will the panic spending have the direct opposite impact? Because there's also the law of demand and supply. If there's panic spending, all of a sudden the goods prices will jump up. Okay.
Well, Trevor, one of the things that's troubling to us about these policies, we are not even sure what problem we're trying to solve. Because the governor was eloquently stating yesterday that one of the things we need to solve is to clean out black market money. So if you're cleaning out black market money, actually, it simply means that you'll be preventing people who have some buying power from using that money by taking it out of circulation. The idea that it's going to provide some innovate the economy is so out of mainstream economics that I understand that it's not even worth commenting on. I mean, I saw a few people, of course, political hacks generally, talking about how this is going to innovate the economy because the economy has been in a slowdown. I mean, if you really wanted to innovate the economy, there are many things government could do. This would be the worst way to try and do it. So that's one. The second thing is that if there's been hoarding, whichever way people hoard it, what's to prevent people from exchanging the new notes for the old notes and then take back their 1 million and hide it back in the vault at home? So,
but they would have to explain where their million that they're exchanging is from, and that is what they're avoiding. That's what the black money CBK is talking about.
Yes. I mean, the
it's
point
money you can't explain. That's the
no. I'm dealing with your first point, which was basically to bring in something to excite movement in the economy. But I mean, if people are given to hiding money at home, say legitimate or not, they could still come into the main system and then take back that money and keep it back under the mattress. But yes, if you're saying you're trying to prevent those who have illegal money, or rather money from corrupt practices from bringing it back in, 4 months is quite a bit of time. That's one. Two, there are very many legitimate ways to actually carry out transactions. My thinking is that if somebody has So first, I think the first thing we need to ask, what share of these 230 billion do we think is actually illegal? Because it can't be everything else. So even if you assume that it was 10% of it, that's about 21 billion, right? I'm wondering whether the cost of rushing everybody through 4 months of frenzy is worth it to just get these 10 billion. So that's the first. The second is, I'd be very surprised, because we are arguing security, because among the things that the governor spoke about yesterday was to say that part of that is to ensure that this money does not lead to illegal financial flows which could fund terrorism, and we are all concerned about that. But if there's anybody who has a vault of a billion shillings in their house, and the government of Kenya does not know where that is, and you think you're going to smoke them out by asking them to send it to the banks, I mean, that tells you something about government security competence, not about the fact that these people are. So it means we're actually running after the thieves, and that's really dangerous to admit.
So you don't think this is going to have much of an impact, considering government, the CBK has already printed 261 billion shillings, and that should come into circulation. So what happens if that money comes in and they haven't mopped out the illegal money?
Okay, let's go back. Part of the reason we have a new currency is because the Constitution requires it. As it is, we are 4 years late, because the Constitution had required this to be done by 2015, because there's a 5-year window. So we are 4 years late. So this was going to happen anyway. And I would think that if we said we're doing that for constitutional reasons, that's fair, because the Constitution demands it. However, to try and make it look like we have some very tough tricks to get out, to smoke out people who have been stealing money from the public sector, tells me two things. The first is, you wait for people to steal money, then you have to change the entire currency to catch up 10% of it. I mean, that's a poor choice that we made. Secondly, we are talking up this thing, and yet the history suggests we are not the first country that's done this. I mean, India did that in a very abrupt way as well. I think this one is more phased in and everything else. I am not too sure what benchmarks you have that will tell us whether this is successful or not. And what I think will happen, this is it, this will be such a tame event in the end that the central bank will declare victory anyway, because they've changed the money, and we'll move on with our lives. I do not think, if we are really interested in fighting corruption. Most of the people who are targeted, for instance, have political power. Some of them sit in cabinet. Some of them own banks or have partnerships with banks. That's the place to go. Yeah. To ask all of us, including small kids who have piggy banks, to break them and make sure they exchange their 1,000 shillings before the 1st of October is too much fast for the small problem we are trying to solve.
You've mentioned that some of them actually have banks and will try and change the currency. Will that affect the stability of the Kenyan shillings from where you stand? Because if we try and change a lot of them, there's a lot of dollar circulation.
But yeah,
the event is panic changing and people are just trying to move it around. Will that change? Will that impact on the Kenyan shilling value?
No, I don't think it will, because as the governor explained yesterday, that yesterday he spoke to bank managers and the leaders of the banking institutions, let them know what this is about. He also says that he's going to speak to countries in the neighborhood to let them understand and to ensure that this money is not circulated through the neighboring countries. Yeah. And he'll be speaking to people who own the currency, forex exchanges and all that. So all that means he's trying to cover all these spaces, which is perfectly okay. What I'm not too sure is whether we should rush with this and try to claim that we're actually using this as a silver bullet to solve the question of corruption in Kenya. I do not think that will work. And I'd be prepared to take a bet. And if I'm wrong, obviously come back here and say I was wrong.
So 4 months, is that enough time to change this currency? Should we have done it sooner or even made it longer?
My view is that if you want to, if somebody is keeping a billion shillings is not easy to keep in cash.
Yeah.
So if somebody has it, they have a vault somewhere, and it's very bulky money. So why can't we just go up there and find out if Kwame has a store in my house that I fumigate every 2 months and which has billions of Kenya shillings? Why don't you simply go up there, find me and ask me, Kwame, where is the source of this money? There's legal precedent which says that if you're found with money that you cannot explain, that should be. The fallout in my view.
They know that the money exists. Yes. Because they're alleging that the black money that you're talking about is money gotten from corrupt proceeds.
Yes.
But it's been hidden.
Yes.
So it only comes out in cash and cash transactions.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's possible. But then I'm saying that if that is it, we know how many people run and pay, who government pays. Why can't we follow it from that side? I'm just trying to say that demonetization was necessary because the Constitution required us. So as we are doing one thing which is good, it shows that we adhere to our Constitution's requirements. Let's not try to dress it up by saying that this is a silver bullet for solving Kenya's corrupt things. It was done in India. It was a spectacular failure. In fact, it affected growth by shaving 1% off GDP growth rates, led to a few people, mostly poorer people who were not in the formal financial system, to actually lose their money because they came up one day and realized that the money that they have was no longer useful and all that. So the instability that it would cost, in my view, is not worth going about this. If you want to go for the corrupt people, we should go for them directly.
Although the difference really between India and Kenya is that here it's a shilling for a shilling. You're just been given time to take the money that you have, and then the value is still the same.
Well, it happened in the same way in India. But what happened was you just woke up one day and then bank ATMs were now spitting out different currencies from us. So we have 4 months to deal with it. I mean, the point we are saying is that if we are interested in managing corruption and obviously illicit financial flows, which is true that we have weak systems, what we are required to actually do is to manage and track money from the time it leaves government and from the time somebody sends money to try and use it for corrupt practices. To change the entire currency or to use the opportunity that the Constitution has required and say we're actually going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone is actually being too ambitious, and I think it probably will not achieve that goal.
Do you think this is going to lead to a circulation of fake currencies in the market? Because there's a lot of speculation that's coming out there. That's why I want you as an economist to just put it in perspective.
When this announcement was made, and I think the CBK governor has tried quite a bit to make people understand what he's doing here, one of the things they say that the new currency has many more security features. I think the fantastic thing about it, leave alone whether people's faces should appear there or not, the fantastic thing about this new currency is actually such that even people who are visually impaired or with that kind of disability are able to tell them apart, which is interesting. We've brought in some technology facts. I mean, guises which will help with the people so that you make it as inclusive as possible. What I'd like us to do is not to say the Constitution required us to make this. We are 4 years behind, but let's not come here and claim to Kenyans that we are going to use this to wash away all corruption. It's not going to happen. And I hope that people who run serious institutions of the central bank should not give us political promises that they will not deliver on.
All right. Thanks for making time for us, Kwame Wino, CEO, Institute of Economic Affairs, and we'll hold you to that. If it works,
Yes.
we'll come back and confess that you're wrong.
Okay.
We're taking a short break here on Citizen TV Newsnight. When we come back, I'll sample some of your views and also get you